What if, what if, what if channeling is your next creative edge? Your next superpower, I would say. Hello, dear community. This is Katarina Satori, and this was the name that dropped in for this live stream. What if channeling is your next creative edge? What if this is your time to let go into the flow and to open your channel fully? What would happen then? What would happen then? What would you create? What would you release? What would you wouldn't need to do anymore? So I wanted to do this live stream as an info session to highlight Satori Channeling School that is opening next Friday, so exactly a week from today. And I wanted to talk to you about channeling and to share with you how I see that skill and that practice and an art form. And if you have any questions about channeling, if you've seen me talking about it and writing about it and creating reels, what channeling is, the way that I experience it, it's communication. It's communication with a larger reality, and it's deep form of listening. So it's connection, communication, but also listening. Listening and receiving the guidance and wisdom and understanding that is uniquely for you. And how would I describe my journey with channeling? First of all, I was always drawn to channeled information. And the first time I heard Pleiadians channel their messages for Family of Light, I had a full body recognition as I know this message. This is for me. I want to hear more of it. And then I went through a journey from beginning with a very consistent journaling practice, developing awareness of my inner world through a daily extensive journaling practice, to moving to another form called spiritual journaling, then moving to automated writing, and then moving to verbal channeling. And each one required courage, to step into that practice. I just made some cacao, so if you see cacao. Because even though channeling is a birthright and it's a natural ability, the reason the majority people do not channel, it's because they're self-conscious and they don't know how to get out of the way and how to prepare the body for that communication with the divine, with your higher self, with your inner wisdom. So I see channeling as an incredible superpower that you can activate and develop so you can grow in your soul wisdom. Channeling for me is a very healing practice. Every time you sit down and connect with your inner wisdom to channel a message of guidance for your soul, from your soul, you raise your vibration, you receive a healing energy. Every time you talk to your soul, you receive a healing energy. Just imagine creating a practice around it. Imagine that you have a practice. You sit down and you talk to your soul. And you ask it questions. Hi, Crystal. Good to see you, darling. Crystal is a channeler. Yeah, so I see channeling as a healing practice, as a practice of soul illumination. It's something that I look forward to. And not only that, it's a practice that helps you embody the messages that you receive. Because it's one thing to receive a message, right? It's another thing to live that message and to embody that message. This is where channeling becomes superpower for you. When you begin to, hello, darling. Yeah, I have a folder on my computer that is all channeled information. And what I do, I start recording them in 2023. What I do, I go and I revisit those messages and I ask myself, have I actually applied this? Have I put this into practice? Have I lived this? Or did I receive this message and I just kind of filed it away? So it's a really beautiful practice of self-mastery. So first you learn to connect and to establish a clear connection with your higher self, with your team of guides, with anybody you're interested in connecting. You know, for me, I was always interested in galactic connection. Always wanted to talk to star nations, Sirians, Arcturians, Pleiadians. Like, these are my beings, the Hathors, because they are interdimensional beings and they're advanced consciousness. And I want to talk to advanced consciousness. I want to get their perspective on what's happening on the planet. And what's so cool about it, when you realize they're interested in talking to you as well. Right? So not only you're interested in talking to them, but they're interested in talking to you. And especially Arcturians, I love their vibration. They're very loving. They're very peaceful. The unique challenge with galactic communication is to shift the brain waves. When we are not trained in channeling, we don't know how to shift our brain waves to match their vibration. So it's really about coming into a channeled state and getting out of the way of that self-doubt, inner critic, so you can hear. So then you can also channel ascended masters. And that's something that I did a lot in 2018 and 19 and 2020. Then gods and goddesses came, and it's just an incredible communication with all these higher beings who have so much love, who have so much wisdom, who have incredible ability to help you activate your gifts and your magic. So it's just amazing. One of my favorite ways to channel is to ask for guidance for every day. When I wake up in the morning, before I talk to anybody, I talk to Divine Mother and I talk to my council of wisdom. And I ask them, what's the priority for today? What's important for me to focus on, right? What's the message for my community? So for me, I'm a very practical mystic. I'm a very galactic being, but I like making galactic things practical. So if we open these highways of communication, how can we use them? And the first, how channeling can become your superpower, it can help you focus. Out of 20 things that you can study or do or create, you ask your guides, you ask your team of guides, hey, spirit guides, where can I direct my focus? What is most useful for me right now? That's how we make it practical. Second thing you can do when you are opening up your channel abilities is to ask your guides or your higher self to help you become aware of your blind spots, of the ego patterns that you are not even aware of. And we all have them, right? And that's a bold ask, because if you truly sincerely ask that, you will be shown. And sometimes it's not easy to see your own blind spots, right? I remember a few years back, I had like this deep, sincere ask. And I said, Spirit guides, I'm really working on my shadow. I'm working on the rejected parts of myself that are hard for me to see. Like, this is the moment. Please show me some of my blind spots. And I didn't even have to wait 24 hours, my friend. The very next day, I was shown some of my pride and tendency to build myself up, make myself look bigger. More important, this desire for recognition, desire for, all these things. And my guides showed it to me in a very, very obvious way. And I remember, I cried. I went into deep sadness around this. It moved me so deeply, but I was really grateful to receive that lesson and to see that blind spot. So this is another way you can communicate with your guides. If you want that progressive growth of your awareness, you can be very direct. Like, spirit guides, I'm ready for some truth sandwich. I know I may not like what I see, but if you can show me some of my blind spots, some of the things that, I'm really in resistance to, help me see that so I could become aware and then I could transform. So let's talk another way of channeling. Channeling is also is a way to understand your soul's path, right? So often, we go through these chapters in life where the path forward is not clear. It's actually a very normal part of growth. We have clarity and then lack of clarity. And the time where your path is not very clear and you feel like you can go in so many directions, opening communication with your higher self and channeling the answers for the next steps is very healing, is very supportive. Even when you are in the part of your path where clarity intentionally is being removed from you, this is also a part of the experience. Sometimes you're not being shown clarity because if you were shown clarity, it would take you out of present moment. You wouldn't be able to be present what was here. So sometimes your future direction is veiled for a time. So you could learn to be in the now, right? And I remember asking my guides, I was going through that chapter and I was asking a question, being in the receptive state, using the process of automated writing to record an answer. And it was really supportive because I would receive such precise information that, you are not meant to know your next steps right now. You're meant to be fully present for this experience. You're meant to go one step at a time. Crystal, I would like to hear your perspective on channeling, on how is it supporting you and how you're receiving your information. Because here's something that I found. There are no two channelers alike. And it's such a liberating message for anybody who's going to watch this as a replay. If you want to open up your ability to hear the cosmos, to feel information coming to you, if you want to receive prophetic visions and signs and dreams and omens, the number one thing to let go is comparing yourself to other intuitives, because your channel will open uniquely to you and it's not going to be like anybody else. So, for example, I love automated writing, but I have always received information through writing since childhood. I also receive information through hearing. I will just receive downloads. They will just come to me as a packets of information. I don't need to do anything about it. It just whoops and comes. All I need to do is to be receptive. When it comes to verbal channeling, it's very hard for me to channel with eyes open. So for verbal channeling, I prefer to close my eyes and go into trance and then channel. But every channeler is unique, right? Yeah, it says what strengthened my channeling was writing in my journal. Exactly. So every channeling is unique. Here's how we can make this even more practical. Imagine channeling the guidance for your business. And this is something that I do for my business all the time. For example, I ask my team of guides and my higher self, how can my business can be of most relevance right now? What project is the next priority? And I sit down and I write down the answers. Or I sit down by my altar, which is like my most sacred place in the house. And I take my phone and I start recording an answer through verbal channeling. It's really incredible practice. It also really helps you. I feel like when you establish it as a practice, it helps you become more and more at ease in your expression. Because what gets in the way from people tapping into the intuitive gifts is being in your head. So if you're in your head, you're not in your body. And channeling is a full body experience. Would you say that true, Crystal? As the importance of being in the body versus in the head. So it's an incredible embodiment practice, because if you're not in your body, then you are most likely in your head, and you're very self-conscious of what's going on, and you begin to doubt yourself, and you may even create blocks and filters. So what happens in the channeling education, I am starting a channeling school next week. It's going to be a process of preparing the body and learning to shift our state, learning to shift our brain waves at will, on demand, as well as learning to become more and more at ease in expressing your soul's wisdom and channeling your wisdom without getting into your head. You also learn how to connect to your ancestors, how to connect to different higher dimensional beings that you are called to connect. So it doesn't matter if I am called to galactics or to gods and goddesses or to different ascended masters. What matters is, who are you being drawn to right now and why? And this is what interests me as a facilitator of the program, is to create a nourishing space for you to nourish your gifts and to unfold your channeling abilities. It's not about you becoming a channeler like me or like anybody else. It's you finding your style and finding the courage and confidence to actually activate your style to its highest potential. So isn't that exciting, darlings? I wanted to share this because it's, yes, Crystal says, because even performance is a form of channeling using the movement of the body. Exactly. That's the performance as a dance, right? The dance or music. This is all channeled state. And one thing that I'll share with you, what channeling helped me in business specifically, in the very practical arena, I am able to channel several programs simultaneously. I'm able to enter a channeling state when I teach. And that has changed everything for me. In the past, I would spend so many hours worrying about how the class will come through and like really over preparing. And even though the class would go through, good, in a good way, I still felt like I wasn't unlocking my true flow. And when I began to channel more and to experience it as a practice, as a consistent practice, I unlocked this ability to allow the class and the teaching to come through me. And this is actually a third level of creative expression. So this is something that I teach in one of my programs called Spiritual Rainmaker. Crystal, I wonder if you reached that module. There is 4 levels that you can bring your genius through, or anything that you do through. 4 levels. And the first level is kind of like an unconscious level, where we simply do it from the head, right? We're stiff in the body, we're very self-conscious. This is where we all begin. You can't skip that step. So this is kind of the most awkward stage where you are just, you're opening up your body, you're learning to express, and everybody's going through this stage. The second stage, where you learn techniques and methods, and you are studying the frameworks, and you are have role models and mentors, and you're like, oh my goodness, I'm understanding why they're opening like this. I'm understanding why they prepare the body here. I'm understanding how they do that. It's also a very important part of learning the structure, learning techniques, learning approaches. But then there's this next stage where you begin to access flow, where you studied enough technique, studied enough structure, that you begin to trust yourself to improvise. And then whatever you do becomes more form of a dance. You don't have to plan, you don't have to over-prepare, because you constantly polish your craft. And you love your craft so much that that's what you do on an ongoing basis. So when you access the third level of expression, your craft is simply flows through you. It's like your expression, right? And then the next embody, Crystal, exactly. This is the level of embodiment. And it's amazing because your voice changes. Your posture changes. Remember the first stage? You are stiff. Your voice is tense, right? We all begin there. You can't skip that stage. You can't just leap straight into embodiment, no matter what you do, right? So the first stage gets to be embraced with a lot of patience and a lot of tenderness and humor. If you can't laugh at yourself at your stage of awkwardness, you're not going to learn anything. So the first stage is playfulness, it's humor, it's compassion for yourself. The second stage requires discipline and practice and commitment, where you really got to say, every Monday at 12 p.m. I'm doing this practice. Every Tuesday at 12 p.m. I'm doing this practice, right? And this is where you grow in your embodiment. And stage 3, you leap into that flow. But we also have stage 4. In stage 4, you become the art. You become the dance. You become the poetry in motion. And this is truly the creative potential at its highest, where you lose all self-consciousness. You become so at one with the moment that something greater than you comes through you. And you don't feel fatigue. You don't feel like time is just becomes, like you don't even notice how much time. You are in the zone. You are in the flow. You are in that peak expression of your genius. So no matter what you study, whether you study a language or a dance, or whether you develop a business skill such as sales or marketing or speaking or teaching, you're going to go through these 4 stages. And you know where people give up the most? Stage 2. Because it takes a lot of persistence and a lot of hours, a lot of love and devotion, and a big enough reason why you want to activate particular skill, right? So I invite you to consider whatever you study, where you at, and you have different skills and different interests. So you're at different stages, right? With different crafts. And I can tell you, when I was able to touch the beauty of channeling my work, it is exquisite. It's like you are flying, right? You're free and you just can't wait to do it again, because it fuels you, it nourishes you, it expands you, it fills you with beauty. This is, to me, is the essence of channeling. And this is what Satori Channeling School will teach you, how to access this exquisite flow states. Yes, you can learn the techniques. Yes, you can learn how to prepare, how to protect, how to ground, how to actually access these deeper dimensions. But I feel like the true jewel of this experience, of this 8-week journey, is that leap that you can take. Whatever stage that you're in, you're going to go to a next stage of your creative expression, of self-trust. To bring anything in the world, you need 2 things. You need to trust yourself. You need to trust yourself. You need to trust yourself. And you need courage and confidence. And courage is not always being brave. It's courage is willingness to do something even if you are afraid, even if you are uncertain. And then confidence grows in the proportion of your courage. It's a beautiful journey, And I wish everybody who is in my community would give themselves that gift to channel more, to trust themselves more, to create from the seat of their soul, and to turn their life into art. So darlings, this is what I wanted to share on this impromptu session. If you have questions, let me know. Even if those people who will be on the replay, let me know. This is a late night live stream. You know, everything that I do is usually in the early day, especially now when the sun is setting. But I have my cacao and I'm about to go on a long, timeless walk in nature. And I wanted to highlight this opportunity because this is for December and January. And my guides told me to teach this program. They're like, channeling school is coming next. So the curriculum will be channeled for the group, will be very, very specifically for the group. And it's going to be, you know, a journey to help you step into that next level of trust of your expression. We each have a channel, right? We each have a channel, but we each are in a different relationship with our channel. Some of us trust our channel. Some of us fear our channel. And it is my devotion and dedication for this school to create a loving and nourishing environment, learning environment, where every person feels safe and inspired to open their channel to the fullness and to bring this message of their soul into the world. So thank you for joining me. You can find all information on my link in bio. With so much love, I'll see you next time.